very understandable why you would want your family members to get along with you, and you might be tempted to overlook certain behaviors until they get to the point where you just can't ignore them anymore. They're making you sick and you're not dealing with your relationships directly. And I believe that it is a win-win situation to not enable dysfunctional behavior, and it doesn't really matter if the person is a member of your family or not. The tribal instinct is to survive through the support of your family. It's deep within us. It was important in the past on a genetic level to have a kind of tribal cohesiveness, and that's not true anymore. If you're an adult and you still are dependent financially or otherwise on your parents or family, then set as a goal the ability to no longer be dependent, because if you are dependent, then you're going to be more likely to put up with behavior, if they are dysfunctional, that is going to affect your own well-being, and that's just not worth it. Carl Jung said that one of the greatest challenges we face is the herd mystique and its allure. That means fitting in with the herd, fitting in with the tribe, fitting in with a group. And that makes sense on a biological level, but if you're here for personal growth, you're going to have to differentiate at some point. And it is actually helpful to the people that you set boundaries with to say, I'm not going to enable your lack of respect, because that's what it comes down to. A lot of people who are suffering in relationship to family members, they feel disrespected, and at the same time, they don't think that they can avoid these people, or they feel they have to just put up with it as if they're still a child, and that they need to just kind of work their way around it, maybe drink their way through holidays and birthdays and just suppress. But one of the negative effects that happens when you suppress conflict, you avoid these kind of things, is that it can become a coping mechanism in other areas of your life as well, that you don't deal with your relationships. And I think that we are more likely to attract positive relationships, romantic and friendships and so forth, if we deal with the family of origin stuff directly. And it helps. The reason it's a win-win is that it improves your self-esteem. And when you stop enabling other people who are disrespecting you, it gives them a chance to realize there are consequences. A lot of times what they have is unresolved grief, unresolved anger, unresolved depression, and they just put it on to other people. And so if they think that they can, that you're trapped into a system where you cannot leave, and then you are a recipient of the negativity and you put up with it, then that strengthens their ego, and it says, that's okay. I still love you. You're great, you know. And in reality, it's okay to not love somebody who is disrespecting you. It's okay to set a boundary and say, this doesn't feel like love. This feels like verbal abuse. This feels gross to me, and I don't want to avoid it anymore. And if you're going to treat me poorly, I'm not going to put myself around you, period. And if you want to change, I'd be glad to have you in my life. And that's the thing. People can change, but they're not going to change. A lot of these people that are stuck in their negativity and not dealing with their emotional issues, they would rather just act out their ego stuff on others instead of do the work that it takes to change and grow. But if all of a sudden they realize, hey, nobody wants to be around me because I'm a jerk, then maybe that can serve as an impetus for their personal evolution. And maybe they'll get it in this life, and maybe they won't. But if you're enabling them, if you're just putting up with receiving negativity and criticism and energy that you don't feel that is fair or that you deserve, you're not helping them change. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping anybody. You're just an enabler. That's all you're doing, is enabling negative behavior. A lot of people who are trying to justify their negativity, they will say, well, you're family, you have to be around me. And you don't. Where is that written? You know, some people have religious concepts that try to justify abusive behavior. And some people try to use a phrase such as honor thy mother and father to justify negative, abusive behavior. And I'm not Christian, but if I was, here's how I would interpret honor thy mother and father. It is not honorable to enable someone. You're not honoring that person's true essence, that person's true spirit, by saying that their ego is all that they can do in terms of the way they interact with people. It is honorable to speak your truth, to set boundaries, and to say, I'm not going to subject myself to negativity. And as you learn how to set boundaries, because let's face it, some people are lucky and they have a family that is there to support them and help them. And, it feels good, it feels loving, but not everybody has a family like that. And if your family has members that are here to teach you how to set boundaries, that is helpful too. That is helpful for your growth. And by setting boundaries, you might help them too. It's not your responsibility to help them, but at least there's a chance if you say no to negativity and basically say, I'm not going to put myself around people who disrespect me, whether there's a genetic connection or an adopted connection or not. It doesn't matter what the connection is in that level. What matters is teaching self-respect through role modeling. Teach the people in your life, teach the people who are in your community, what does self-respect look like? And it doesn't look like going to some gathering with family and listening to some negativity spew out and then going to the kitchen to get another drink and suppress your feelings. It doesn't help you or anyone to avoid this. So, and if you are a child living in a negative situation, then if there's any abuse, report it. And if you can't get out of that situation through any way that is available to you, try to build up a supportive community of people who are good to you. You don't have to subject yourself only to negativity that you are raised by or born into. You can build your own community and learn how to strengthen your self-respect through the kind of people that you choose to be around. And realize that if you're choosing, either if you're a child or you're an adult, if you're choosing people who are negative towards you or in other ways disrespectful, then you're probably reenacting your family of origin issues. And the way this reenactment works is that unconsciously we want to heal. We want to feel good. We want to love ourselves, but we don't know how necessarily. So by attracting people who are not a positive force in our life, it gets us to look at that. We're unconsciously making choices that say, this is what I deserve, until we realize eventually, no, this just doesn't feel good. I'm going to treat others respectfully. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to set boundaries, and I'm going to choose people that feel good to be around. And that's one of the wonderful benefits of setting boundaries with people in your life, no matter who they are, which is saying, listen, I know that it probably feels good to be disrespectful and to be critical or to be passive aggressive or whatever their thing is. But the reason that feels good is because it's strengthening your ego. And it doesn't feel good to me, and I don't deserve it, so I'm not going to put up with it. If you want to grow, if you want to evolve, and you want to become a person who's pleasant to be around, I'd love to have you in my life. That'd be great. But until then, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to set distance. I'm going to let go. I'm going to do whatever it needs to take care of my life and to not enable you to continue to act as if treating people in an abusive or otherwise disrespectful way is okay. And I want to reiterate, this will be a gift to that person, even if they tantrum. And if it's a family member who knows all about you and your history and what are your triggers and all these things like that, then they are perhaps more equipped to egotistically use anything possible against you to try to get you to doubt yourself, try to get you to feel bad and use things against you and create confusion and a lack of self-trust. And that's where your growth comes in. That's where your strength comes in. You have to trust in what you've learned and what you know through the work that you do upon yourself to become conscious of what's really going on and not doubt yourself. And despite their tantruming and despite them saying, well, I still want you to be around me so I can abuse you. I still want you to come over and I can act out my anger and depression and unresolved grief towards you, then that's not going to be really a helpful gift to them to give them what they want in these kind of situations. You have to be strong enough to say, no, I'm going to teach you what I need to feel good around you. And if you don't care enough to change, to act in a way that feels good, then goodbye. And I'll grieve and I'll let go, and it won't be easy. And some people in my life might not understand because they have great families, and so they spout little trite concepts about family is important and family is the only one who's there for you and things like that. That's not always true. Those little pleasantries are not always true. So be true to yourself and set boundaries, and you will help yourself, you will help others grow, and systemically, you will help to make it a more conscious world where people aren't just kind of avoiding each other and working their way around passive-aggressive interactions, but actually loving and forming loving communities and growing and healing and all the good stuff that's available to all of us. Thanks for listening.